now available in paperback and e-readers. Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. One of my viewers wanted me to make a series of videos about different topics. And for the third video, they told me I could discuss whatever I wanted in that requested video. And in that third requested video, I'm going to talk about how simps go out and spend lots of money on a woman to get her attention and to get her to date her. But when she starts to commit to him, that's when he decides to close his wallet and get real stingy. Now, in my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, I talk in depth about how simps go out here and look to try to spend lots of money in the hopes of getting the attention of women, and will even go out here and spend hundreds and even thousands of dollars to give women a magical evening in their quest to try to impress her as they try to chase her in the social marketplace. And as these guys look to try to chase a woman in the social marketplace, they will go out here and not only spend every dollar that they have in the bank, but they will go out here and even go out and start borrowing money from friends and family and max out their credit cards, all to get the attention and approval of a woman, all in the hopes of getting her to start going out on a date where he hopes that he can spend his way into impressing her. Now, when it comes to simps, again, these men will spend anywhere from hundreds to even thousands of dollars hoping to create a magical evening that they believe will impress a woman, and believe that once they impress this woman, this will create a covert contract that will get sealed, where he will possibly get the opportunity to go to her house, get her to take off all her clothes, drop that skid mark Victoria's Secret thong, and hopefully he can go out here and get his carbon rod wet with some atomic waste from her nuclear waste reactor, and at the end of the night he can go home with a walk of shame with a glow-in-the-dark penis. And that's what the simp hopes that all of his spending will get him, that opportunity to have that magical night where he can go out here and be able to get involved with the girl or the woman of his dreams. He hopes that he can get involved with the woman of his dreams in that magical night. And after he has that magical night, that's where the whole dynamics of the relationship change for the simp. Now, when it comes to the simp, once he gets what he wants and he eventually gets the woman to start investing emotions into him, that's usually when Dr. Jekyll turns into Mr. Hyde and Mr. Hyde turns into Mr. Stingy, because that's when the simp goes from opening up his wallet to slamming it shut by saying that he doesn't need to spend any more money on the woman who he said was the woman of his dreams. Now, after this dude basically winds up getting the girl of his dreams to commit to him, that's when he starts to get real stingy, and instead of looking to take that woman to the 5-star restaurant that he first took her to impress her, what he's doing is heading over to the Arab red and white chicken place, talking about how he can get a 2-piece dinner for $2.99, and that's where many of the women that the simp gets involved with wind up getting their face completely changing into a wince, because they thought that by going out here and giving this guy a chance, they were going to be able to continue to eat like that at fancy restaurants. But when it comes to the simp, all he really is concerned with is not looking to build an actual relationship with a woman. No, what he's really interested in is getting social currency with other people. And because he's interested in getting social currency with other people, he doesn't believe he needs to invest in the woman that he's currently involved with. Because once he goes out here and gets with the woman that he wants, that's when the simp starts to say he's not going to spend any more money because he already paid to get what he wants. And once he paid to get what he wants, that's when he no longer values the woman as a person. And that's a thing that really starts to shock a lot of women who go out here and look to give a simp a chance. A lot of them go out and give the simp a chance, and then the simp goes out here, and after he goes out here and gets her to commit to him, that's when he stops really caring about her. And that's because any relationship with a simp is a very shallow relationship, because the whole relationship is based on a very shallow foundation, based on what this man's fantasies and ideals are about a woman, not really based on a relationship based on substance, because everything about the woman he's interested in is all about going out here and making her fit into his rose-colored reality. And once she stops fitting into his rose-colored reality and starts to become a real person with real needs and real wants, that's when the simp doesn't want to go out here and fully connect with that woman and bond with that woman, because he only wanted to have a superficial relationship based on his ideals and fantasies, not really looking to have a connection with a real person. And what really hurts about women who get involved with these simps is that after these men use these women to sate their fantasies by getting their carbon robbed in the atomic waste reactor, is that these women wind up getting emotionally hurt, because this man never really looked to build a real relationship. No, after he got his girl of his dreams into bed, that's when he doesn't want to invest anything more, and that's when he starts getting real stingy. Again, before, when he was chasing her and courting her, he was out here spending money, going out here, taking her to fancy restaurants, buying her all sorts of gifts, such as expensive handbags, expensive shoes, and taking her on shopping sprees. But once he gets her to commit to her, what he's doing is going from taking her to the fancy restaurant over to the Arab red and white chicken place or the Chinese takeaway, where he offers to get her either a two-piece chicken dinner with a biscuit and no apple pie this time, or he offers to get her some plain fried rice and some chicken wings, and offers her some White Castle burgers. And for her birthday, he ain't taking her on no shopping spree, buying her no designer handbags. No, he's going over to the Korean store to go get the EA handbag, and going over to the VIM to get her some kicks off the clearance section. I mean, the woman goes from being elevated to a high position to be in a complete downgrade, even if he does consider to buy her anything. And sometimes when it comes to these guys, they're not even buying anything at this point. And what they tell many women is that you got a job, you can go get your own stuff. And again, that is a major punch in the face to the woman that he was chasing and going out here and gassing up. But that's what happens with the simp, because he no longer sees any social currency that he can have with a woman whose draws he already got. No, when it comes to the simp, he's not really having a relationship with the woman for the woman. No, he's having a relationship with the woman for other men. And once he can no longer get that social currency or those brownie points from those dudes anymore, that's when the simp decides that this woman who he had on a pedestal is somebody he no longer wants to deal with. And that's the whole other side of a simp. The other side is that once he finishes getting what he wants as related to a commitment, he decides to go out here and get this woman into a downgrade position. And the downgrade position is where he stops spending money, because he just doesn't care at that point anymore. And that's where these guys do more damage than even the other dysfunctional males like the whoremongers and the players, because at least those guys are upfront. All they want is the draws. But what the simp does is he goes out and makes it look like he actually cares, makes it look like he's actually interested. But the whole thing is he's not really interested in anything except going out here and looking to use his money as an attachment to get a woman's attention. And then after he uses that money as an attachment to get her attention, what he does is go out here and burn the chick by saying that he's not interested in spending in her anymore. So he basically treats women like prostitutes, and that's one of the things that people don't really see about the simp, that he basically is treating women like a prostitute, looking to go out here and look to make it look like he's interested in having a relationship, but in actuality he's looking to try to buy the affection and attention of a woman, really misleading some decent women out here. Meanwhile, these same guys, basically, they get all upset when they get burnt, but the whole thing is that they don't see how dishonest and slimy they actually are. I mean, a lot of these guys, again, they'll spend all the money in the beginning, but when it's time to maintain the relationship and maintain the standards that he established in the beginning, he doesn't want to maintain those standards. No, what he want to do is go out here and alter the deal. And sometimes he just basically wants to alter the deal because he's basically going broke at this point, possibly because he got to pay that money back to all them relatives and all the credit card companies that he spent all this money on trying to impress her. But he didn't have to wind up in this position. No, he didn't have to wind up in this position at all. No, all he had to do was be honest from minute one, and he could have enjoyed a very satisfying relationship, but he didn't want a satisfying relationship. He wanted the girl of his dreams, and he wanted the fantasy. But when it's time for the simp to face reality and connect with an actual person, that's where the simp starts to have problems, and that's where the simp wants to start cheaping out. And he wants to cheap out because he doesn't want to invest emotions into a real person. No, he wanted to invest his emotions into a fantasy. And once he got his fantasy sated, he then doesn't want to deal with the real person who he basically enabled to believe that she was entitled to this high life that he promised in the beginning, but wasn't looking to maintain. And that basically shows how he just isn't an honest person, because he'll spend big money in the beginning. He'll sit there and brag about how much of a big shot he is when he's trying to get with the girl of his dreams. But once he has to wake up to reality, he doesn't want to go out and maintain that position of trying to be that big shot. All of a sudden, then he's broke. And all of a sudden, once he's broke, that's when he starts to say he ain't got no money, when in actuality, he never really had the money. And all he needed to do was just be honest, and maybe he could have got involved with a quality woman. He could have possibly got involved with a quality woman had he understood that you don't need money to get the attention of women. No, when you have confidence and strong masculine presence and masculine energy, you can go out here and attract quality women to you. But the simp doesn't really want to get involved with quality women. No, what he's looking to do is be able to have somebody to participate in his fantasies, and hopes that he can get to be able to enjoy that fantasy. But usually what happens to these guys is, again, they get played by female predators who go out here and take all their money, or they go out here and break a girl's heart by leading her to believe that he's going to be this man of her dreams who's going to take care of everything, until he decides he can't afford it anymore. And once she invests in him, that's when he can't afford it anymore, and he don't want to spend no money, and he don't understand how relationships work, that you have to maintain a relationship and you have to maintain the standard that you set from minute one, and that's why honest men are upfront and let women know that they are not into her for the money, so that he can maintain a standard of a relationship based on the content of his character and not the content of his wallet. That's what a man of character does as related to a relationship. He goes out and maintains that relationship because the standards he establishes from minute one are based on who he is honestly, not based on the lies that he's trying to tell by buying a fantasy and creating a fantasy for a woman. No, a man who truly cares about a woman, he's not going to be out here looking to spend his way into selling her a fantasy. No, he's going to be real and upfront. And he's going to be real and upfront. Yeah, he may change a bit as related to the tone of his voice and his approach as related to her, but he's going to be upfront and as related to his integrity. And he's going to be upfront because he understands that how he starts with a woman is how he ends up in a relationship with her. And instead of him starting with a lie and then trying to go into the truth like the way a simp does, he's going to start with the truth and end with the truth. And he's going to start with the truth and end with the truth because he wants to do right at the beginning. But when it comes to the simp, he starts with a lie and tries to segue into the truth. And once the woman ironically sees the truth about him and how bad his character is, that's where she don't want nothing to do with him and don't want nothing to do with him because he was dishonest from minute one. And it didn't matter how much he spent. The whole thing is he never invested anything serious into her. When you really look at it, he'll be acting all thirsty and acting all emotional, making it look like he cares so much. But the whole thing is that he lies to himself at the end of the day, and he's just as bad as the guys he complains with, like the thugs, the pookies, and the ray-rays. But he's even more shadier because, again, at least those guys are honest about who they are. But the simp, he's one of the most dishonest individuals in the social marketplace. And again, he comes out with the wallet in the beginning, but wants to go out here and try to get everything free from the woman. And then once he gets everything from the woman, what he wants to do is go out here and cut off the money. And then once he cuts off the money, he wants to get upset that he's not getting what he wants as related to things. He's like, oh, I'm not really able to have the relationship I want. But the whole thing is he never wants to lead as a man. And since he doesn't want to lead as a man, he winds up following a woman, and again follows the woman with his wallet until it's time to take a leadership role. And that's when the relationship starts to fall apart, because he's not leading as a man based on his character. No, he's leading with his wallet, and with that wallet he's looking to follow behind the woman. And when it's time for him to take that leadership role as a man, that's when he wants to get stingy. That's when he wants to get cheap. That's when he doesn't want to invest anything emotionally and economically, because after he gets his social currency, he doesn't value that woman. And that's where that woman's heart gets broken, because she gave the simp a chance, and the simp basically wound up tricking her. And that's why many women don't really like simps outside of female predators who look to turn a simp into a trick. And they look to turn a simp into a trick because they see him for the tool that he is. And again, women of character oftentimes get their heart broken by the simp worse than the player or the ladies' man, because the simp is the guy who makes it look like he's honest about everything, when in actuality the lies he tells to himself do more damage than any lie that any sort of player or pookie could tell. Now, if you want to learn how to identify a simp and the behavior and paradigm that simps participate in that leads to them winding up on a road to failure in dating and relationships, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos like this viewer requested, you can send a donation for a minimum of $15 to the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box or the PayPal. And if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.